Inside the camp were two men who refused to think only about survival. They were not stronger than the system, nor protected from it, but they paid attention differently. They noticed what repeated, which alarms triggered response, how long heightened alert actually lasted. Most prisoners reacted to force. These two measured behavior. They understood something simple. Structure runs on protocol, and any system that removes improvisation creates predictability. They began testing small assumptions, watching how the camp responded to minor disruptions. That was when they discovered it. When a prisoner disappeared, the response was immediate. Sirens, lockdown, dogs, guards sweeping every structure. Their search lasted only 3 days. On the 4th day, it stopped. Not because the prisoner was found, because the protocol ended. The machine did not search indefinitely. It reset. And a system that resets can be beaten. They did not run. Running would have triggered pursuit beyond the perimeter. Instead, they hid inside the camp itself, a woodpile near the outer fence. With help from other prisoners, they hollowed out a cavity just large enough for 2 men. No margin for movement, no room for error. On April 7, 1944, they disappeared. The alarm followed. Sirens, roll call repeated. Guards deployed. The search protocol activated exactly as predicted. Barracks inspected. Perimeters tightened. Dogs brought in. They had prepared for that too. Tobacco soaked in gasoline was scattered around the woodpile. The scent disrupted the dogs' tracking. Not magic, chemistry. For 3 days, they remained sealed inside the cavity. No movement, no speaking. Guards walked above them. Dogs circled. Boots struck the wood overhead. Any sound would have meant execution. The search intensified, then stabilized, comfortably structured. On the 4th day, the alarm did not sound again. The patrols reduced, routine resumed. The system reset. That night, they pushed through the wood. Not sprinting, not celebrating, just moving carefully past watchtowers that no longer expected resistance. The flaw had worked. They were outside the perimeter, but they were not safe. They had beaten the perimeter. That was not the victory. Escape without proof would have changed nothing. The system would continue. Secrecy would remain intact. Their objective had always been larger than survival. They carried the architecture of the machine in memory. Transport numbers, arrival rates, gas chamber capacity, crematoria throughput. They knew how many arrived, how many were registered, how many disappeared. After reaching Slovakia, they were separated and interrogated independently. Every detail had to align. Every number had to match. The result was not a testimony. It was a blueprint. 33 pages. Layouts of Auschwitz and Birkenau. Operational flow. Process sequence. Capacity estimates. By April 1944, they calculated that more than 1.7 million Jews had already been murdered. At peak operation, thousands more were being killed each day. The report did not argue. It documented. It exposed the machine in full. And once the system could be described in detail, it could no longer hide behind ambiguity. But exposure does not guarantee belief. At first, the report moved slowly. Officials doubted the scale. The numbers sounded impossible. Industrial murder was easier to dismiss than to confront. But the document kept moving. Diplomats read it. Journalists published it. Radio broadcasts carried its details across Europe. For the first time, the machine was no longer hidden behind smoke. In July 1944, deportations from Hungary were halted. The trains that had been carrying thousands every day stopped. Nearly 200,000 Jews in Budapest were spared. Not because the system chose mercy, because it was exposed. Because someone had mapped it clearly enough that denial became harder than action. And once the illusion of secrecy broke, the machine could not run as smoothly. When Allied soldiers later entered the camps, they did not discover a mystery. They found confirmation. Rooms already described, processes already documented, numbers already calculated, the piles of shoes, the warehouses of stolen belongings, the architecture of extermination. It was no longer rumor, it was record. After the war, the Vrba-Wetzler Report was entered into evidence at the Nuremberg trials. The design of Auschwitz became part of history's permanent archive. The system had relied on compartmentalization, on victims not knowing, on the world not believing. That was its efficiency, and its fatal flaw. Rudolf Vrba and Alfred Wetzler did not destroy Auschwitz with weapons. They dismantled its invisibility. They forced the world to look. And in doing so, they interrupted a machine that believed it would never be seen. They escaped. But more importantly, they made sure others would not walk blindly toward the same gates.